Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be focusing on solving equations still, but now we're going to have variables on both sides. Again, we're going to show that mastery in class by scoring at least an 80% on the exit ticket. Hopefully you have the note sheet in front of you. If you don't, take out a sheet of paper, write the notes down, and we'll get you a fresh copy tomorrow. Now, when it comes to solving equations with variables on both sides, there's going to be 4 different types of solutions we can get. Our first type is we're going to get a number out. And it could be something like x equals -3, x equals 10, x equals 7, x equals 1/2, but we're going to get a number. Another solution is we're going to get 0. So it would say x is going to equal 0. And I know 0 is a number, but you'd be surprised the amount of people who think they're wrong because they get an answer of 0. The third type of solution that we can get is an infinite number of solutions, or the infinity symbol. That means every number we put in will work. That is, every number possible is a solution. The last solution is there is no solution, and it's going to be a 0 with a line through it. No solution means there is not a single number that we can put in there, decimal, positive, or negative, that could work. Now, as far as the steps, we want to make sure to bring all our variables to one side of the equation, and we're still using our inverse operations. That does not change just because we have variables on both sides. Now, if all our variables come to one side, we want to make sure to bring all our constants to the other side of the equation. And then we're going to solve for x. If we look at our first example, there's no distributing, there's no combining like terms, so I'm going to start by drawing a line down the middle. Now, we need to bring all of our variables to one side. So I'm going to start with my 5x, and it's a positive 5x, so the opposite is going to be subtracting 5x on both sides. Now, when I do that, those 5x's cancel. 7x minus 5x gives me a positive 2x, and I'm just bringing the other parts down. So 2x plus 8 equals 8. We didn't touch our constants yet. We only focused on the variables, so we're just bringing the constants down. Well, now it's a two-step equation. We need to get our constants to the other side. The opposite of adding 8 is subtracting 8 on both sides. Those cancel. I bring down my 2x. Well, 8 minus 8 is 0. But we can't stop here. We want x by itself. 2 is my coefficient, so I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides, which gives me an answer of x equals 0. And that is the correct answer. I know 0 is one of those numbers that people automatically assume because they're done. It's just 0. It is 0. It doesn't mean there's no solution. It means the solution is the number 0. If we look at our second example, there's no distributing. There's no combining like terms. So again, we're going to start with our variables. I want to bring them to one side. Well, if I start on the right-hand side with a plus 4x, the opposite is subtracting 4x. Those cancel. Well, if I look over here, 4x minus 4x, those also cancel. It makes 0, and we don't have to write 0x down because 0 times x is always going to be 0. So I'm left with -8 equals 8. And you have to ask yourself the question, does -8 ever equal 8? No, it is never going to. So for a problem like this, there is no solution. Or you can write the symbol to 0 with a line through it. Because -8 will never equal -8 and both sides are variables canceled out, there is no solution to this equation. If we look at our third example, again, there's no distributing to be had. There's no combining like terms, so I'm going to start with my variables. If I start on the right-hand side and it's positive 7x, I'm going to subtract 7x on both sides. The right-hand side cancels. If we look, the left-hand side cancels, and I'm left with -8 equals -8. So again, the variables are gone. We need to ask ourselves, does -8 ever equal -8? They will always equal each other. So this means there is infinitely many solutions. No matter what number we plug into that equation, it will work every single time because -8 always equals -8. If we look at our fourth one, we want to start by combining like terms. If I have positive 2 and -8, well, that becomes 5 minus 6n. On the other side, I have 8 and I have positive 5. Well, that gives me 2n plus 13. We need to bring all of our variables to one side. So if I start on the right side with 2n, well, the opposite of positive 2n is subtracting 2n. Those cancel. I'm just going to bring 13 down. I'm going to bring the 5 down. Negative 6 minus 2 gives me negative 8n. Well, now I need to get my constants to the other side. The opposite of positive 5 is subtracting 5. I'm going to bring down the negative 8n, and those cancel. 13 minus 5 gives me 8. Negative 8 is my coefficient in front of my n, and I want it by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by negative 8. So n is going to equal negative 1. And that's an example of when we get a number out. And if we were to go back to the original equation and plug negative 1 in, our answers on both sides would equal each other. And that's one way we can check ourselves. Please bring your notes and any questions you have to class tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you then.